bring the conversation back home into the studio now. The Gauteng Education Department is preparing to begin placements for grades 1 and 8 for the 2021 academic year. Now, these placements will be for those who applied on the department's online admission system between June and July. The department says it's received over 255,000 applications. That's a drop, though, from the 330,000 that was received last year. The COVID-19 pandemic has been blamed in part for the decrease, but the department is also bracing for a record number of late applications. Qualifying pupils should begin receiving offers for placement via SMS from today. To help us unpack what next year's placement procedures might look like, we're joined in studio now by Gauteng Education MEC Panyaza Lesufi. Almost feels like the good old days before the pandemic. We caught up with you every now and again.
Indeed.
Thanks very much for coming through.
Thanks to you, and thanks for the opportunity. Truly appreciate it.
All right, let's begin with the FAQs that I imagine are existent at this moment. If I am a parent of a pupil who's applied online, what correspondence should I be expecting from the department from today?
We released thousands and thousands of SMSs this morning. We are quite excited. Actually, I'm thrilled that we've reached this stage, because we're quite worried when we reduced the online application from normal 3 months to a month. So we thought that we've put ourselves under due pressure. But this morning we released thousands and thousands of SMSs. So there are thousands and thousands of parents out there that are quite excited that they've got those SMSs. There are two types of SMSs. There's one that will say, your child has been placed, there's no need for you to take action, because that one has been sorted. But there are those that will receive an SMS to say, you have placed your child, is it within 7 days, you have to confirm whether you are accepting our placement or not. So that will allow us now to start to place everyone. But today was a big day for us as a department.
Awesome stuff. I mean, you did say the process was considerably shorter this time around. Any difficulties that presented that you couldn't have foreseen?
Huge things. For example, people had to apply within a month instead of 3 months. They have to give us documents immediately. Schools have to make assessments, and they have to hand over to districts. Districts were, because people are working from home, so districts were under extreme pressure to evaluate and send back the list to school. So it was very difficult. But technology assisted us, and I must say it showed us that if you use technology, you can save time, because time is money.
Yeah, absolutely. We are also bracing now for these late applications. What is the strategy insofar as that is concerned? I mean, it's almost unavoidable on any year, I imagine, this year, particularly because of something like the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, and it's going to be very difficult. Let me tell you why. Because there are two forms of late application. One, we still have almost 5 to 8% of learners that didn't come back after COVID. So we still have to place those learners first before you can take other people that have applied late. And of the late registration, we are influenced mainly by 3 things. One, people that say, I needed this school, so you didn't give me this school, I'm not going to communicate with you. But when the schools reopened, reality hits, and the parents said, I can take any other school. So that's the first group. Then the second group is normal learners that have not performed well at various schools, so they need a change of scene because they've just received their results and they can see that, no, I can't go back there because I failed, I need a change of scene. Then we'll have that group. And then the last group is learners that will be coming from other provinces or parts of our continent that wants to come and study in our country. So those are the 3 areas. But we have managed to have some form of experience, so we know between January and February, we normally clear those backlogs, but we're going to have a headache next year because of those that have not come back after COVID. That's the numbers that scares us most.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was hoping to go now. Yeah, it almost sounds from your remarks now that it's not a negligible number of pupils who didn't go back. So what does this mean for the cascading effect? You know, if there are, for argument's sake, a significant amount of grade 1 pupils who cannot now go to grade 2, how do you treat those who are in grade R who need to now enter the system?
Well, and our view is very simple. There's no pass one, pass all. So if you have not been at school, you have to repeat your grade. So that is why we have to start with you, because you are repeating the grade, so you'll be given the first preference, and then we'll then take other people that need to come to that particular grade. But the reality is that it's going to put pressure on our class size. So we're going to have overcrowding. It's inevitable. And you know, overcrowding and the pandemic, they're not friends. So we need to practice social distancing, which simply means that we need to get additional mobile classrooms, or we'll have learners alternating, others coming on a Monday, others coming on a Tuesday, or others coming this week and others coming. So it's quite a complicated exercise, but we are geared up to deal with that situation until 2023. So the effects of COVID are going to be with us until 2023.
Sure, that's quite a sobering reflection. Yeah. You speak about pass one, pass all. I think part of the remarks that you also made is that the matric final paper shouldn't be amended because of the COVID-19 pandemic. This now raises questions about whether or not we're then confident that everything that needed to be taught will be taught, so that those matriculants have a fair shot at getting these unchanged papers right come the end of the year.
They have to. They have no choice. The reality is, if you have a softer paper or a lighter paper, these learners will be cast for life. When they go to varsity, say, no, you came here not because you deserve it, you came here because of COVID. If they go to get work opportunities, they will be told that, no, you can't do it because of COVID. So we have to ensure that the quality of exams remain the same quality, whether it was 2010, 2013, and 2020. But what we need to do to this kid is to give them additional time. That is why we've extended the teaching hours. Instead of leaving at 1, they're leaving at 4. That is why they are attending classes on Saturday and Sunday. That is why we've got extra camps that we've arranged for them, so that they cover the curriculum, because it is in the interest of the country and the interest of these learners that they must cover curriculum the way it is. And I'm quite convinced they will. I think this is a group that will surpass us. I was going through statistics of the University of Johannesburg of their last semester. By using technology, they have more learners passing than the previous years. So I really believe these learners are going to surprise us, and they're going to do very well.
Well, like most things, we're going to have to wait and see how that pans out. Now, there have been long-standing teething issues before the pandemic that have also been around. Parts of, I imagine, your headaches have to do with teachers and teacher compliance and things like that. A lot of unions have spoken out during the pandemic and during the lockdown period. Get us up to speed about your relationship with some of those unions now, and whether or not teachers are finally on board to get to the real work that needs to be done as we hit the home stretch.
I must thank them. I must be honest with them. I think the sacrifice that they've made is unmeasurable. I mean, these teachers went in the middle of a pandemic. Remember, we went back to school at level 5. By level 4, the figures were galloping. But they didn't say, we don't want to go there. They protected our children, and they were at the front line of ensuring that we save their curriculum. So we need to thank them. Unfortunately, there were close to 3,000 that couldn't come back because they've got underlying diseases or sicknesses that they felt that they would risk. But of that, others are starting to come back. So the relationship with teacher formation and educators has been healthy, and we had our own differences, like any other family would have differences. But so far, I really believe that we need to give it up to all our educators. They stood firm, they saved their curriculum, and they saved the academic year, and we need to thank them. And on the 5th, I think, is the World Teachers' Day, and that's where, as a province, we really believe that we need to have activities just to salute our educators. They've done well. Me and you are what we are because of educators, and there will be no South Africa without teachers. So every time you see a teacher, thank that teacher.
Absolutely, Shane. My teachers almost had an impossible task, but we'll speak about that at a different place. That said, there are sadly bad apples who give the profession quite a bad reputation. In fact, now we're hearing about some allegations at a school in Val High School, right? What do you know about those claims, and I guess what's your response to that?
I'm going there later this morning. I'm disturbed, I'm worried. I'm told that there are educators that are either imposing themselves on young girls, forcing them to have a relationship with them, and it's something that is completely unacceptable. So I'm going there to gather evidence, and I can assure you, if we arrive there and I've got evidence that this teacher X has behaved this way, and this teacher X has behaved this particular way, by the time I leave that school, that teacher would have left me before.
Do you know how many teachers are involved?
I don't have that, and I think that's the reason why I want to go to the school, just to speed up the investigation and check how many educators are involved. I want to speak to learners. I mean, they're young, so they might be scared to mention names. So we need to create an environment that will allow us to get the evidence. And when we have evidence, we'll act, and we'll act decisively.
Right. How did you learn of the claims?
Well, I was inundated with messages since yesterday, and the district gave me a report. And on the basis of that report, I felt that we need to intervene.
Right. Speaking of reports, MEC, of course, you've received a few since the beginning of what many people describe as a really rocky year for the provincial government. One of the reports has to do with Mbianzi and everything that's happened so far as that is concerned. The last update was around June, where we heard that the family is suing for about 10 million rand. How far down the legal process are we with that?
It has been a bumpy road, I must be honest. We've exchanged a lot of documents with the legal team of Mr. Mbianzi. Our approach is very simple. We want to pay what we think is reasonable. But the difficulty of paying what is reasonable is that you can't measure somebody's life. But we don't also have to open ourselves to people that want to take advantage of that. So we've been at loggerheads on the exact, on the exact amount that need to be paid. But in principle, we've agreed. We don't want to go to court. We don't want to prolong the pain. We don't want to make this process very difficult for all those that are involved. But I'm quite convinced that we'll reach an agreement. The family has given us a bold figure that they feel that they deserve that figure. So what we're doing with our legal team, we are consulting with other institutions to check whether we can collectively arrive at that particular figure. That's the school, that's the camp, and also the educators that were involved. So all of us are trying to find a way that we can reasonably put something on the table. As I say, you can't measure somebody's life, so to arrive at a figure is going to be very, very difficult. But I trust my negotiating team, and I also trust the team that is representing us that they will find a solution on this matter. But we're still willing to settle and finalize it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and I'm hoping you'll be there with us, MEC. At the time, we were told that figure is 10 million rand. When you also announced, you said that the Gauteng Education Department won't be opposing that. So was that referring to not opposing the need to pay or not opposing paying specifically this 10 million?
It is the need to pay. We're not going to oppose that. We really believe that the family deserve to be compensated. We really believe that there are precedents as well, because there are other cases that went through the courts similar to this aspect, even though not exactly similar in terms of circumstances. So we want to use that as a benchmark so that we can settle this matter. But get it from me, from our side as the Department of Education, and from where I am as a person that is leading that department, we really believe that we must settle as quickly as possible so that the family can have closure and the family can continue to ensure that they provide the relevant support to other siblings.
Right, let's leave it there. Gauteng Education MEC, Panyaza Lesufi, we missed you in the studio. Michelle and I getting lonely. It's great to have you back with us.
Thank you so much.
Of course, I imagine you have quite a busy day ahead as you give an update on those online application and registration processes. Panyaza Lesufi is the Gauteng Education MEC.